Okay, so I'm interested in activities of Commerce Resources, in brackets, daughter of Zimtu. Um, do they expect any challenges by naturally occurring radioactive material?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Thank you very much for it. Anyone who knows the rare earth elements knows that essentially all sources of rare earth elements have some naturally occurring radioactive materials. From the rest of this answer, let's just refer to those with the acronym NORMS. So in terms of the norms, there are some very big stories out there, such as Linus and their facility in Kuantan, Malaysia, which is currently, I believe, not in operation because of the current government of Malaysia not allowing them to import radioactive concentrate from Australia. And this essentially was a deal that was struck with the previous government. And at this point in time, it's a major concern for Linus, the company, in terms of whether or not they're actually achieving profits. In terms of rare earth element deposits, hard rock sources typically have lower radioactivity as opposed to, say, monazite sand operations. So the typical monazite sand operation has higher uranium, higher thorium than your typical monazite hard rock source. So to be very specific with the ashram has approximately 1 to 2 parts per million uranium on a per ton basis. That is less than an average kitchen granite countertop. The ashram has just over 300 parts per million thorium. And as anyone understands becquerels, thorium is much less radioactive than uranium. The federal level in Canada to be considered an uranium project is 500 ppm uranium. In British Columbia, the tolerance is much lower at 100 parts per million uranium. But the ashram, of course, is in Quebec. In terms of the naturally occurring radioactive materials for the ashram, 300 ppm thorium is relatively low. 1 to 2 parts, 1 to 2 ppm uranium is extremely low. So in terms of our plans at the ashram to produce a flotation concentrate, we could and have produced 50% flotation concentrates, and we have news released that 3 years ago. But we are choosing to produce just an approximate 10% flotation concentrate so that the thorium that reports to the rare earth elements stays below the guidelines of class 7, and so that we can ship it out and then process out the thorium in our downstream processing facility somewhere on the St. Lawrence River. We are well below all guidelines for radioactivity with the ashram project. And this is something that everyone should understand and know about every rare earth element project they're looking at.
Chris, just tell them that, that radioactivity for commerce is not a problem. That's all you have to say. It's not a problem.
As Dave says.
Couple other questions here. This is from Sean. As a longtime shareholder in Commerce Resources, I would appreciate any updates the company might have about the Blue River project.
Thank you. As the world turns, the dominant source of supply globally for tantalum for the last decade or so has been Central Africa. And I'm talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. But those are very different styles of showings, projects, if you can even call them that. These are alluvial deposits of tantalum where they only are essentially hand mined effectively because of hundreds of millions of years of natural weathering. Ultimately, they aren't a defined resource as we have at the Blue River Project, which is 54 million tons based on 56 kilometers of drilling. And ultimately, our tantalum resource there is one of the world's largest. So as the world turns, production amounts from Central Africa have been falling, while at the same time, international electronics majors are more concerned about their status in terms of the principles of ESG. And so there is an increase of interest, which is very gratifying and rewarding in our Blue River project. coming from the reality that we have one of the largest defined resources of tantalum in the world. And obviously our production would not be conflict production, would abide by all of the principles of the OECD in terms of worker health and safety. And I'm not sure if you can say that about much of the production out of Africa.
Okay, thanks, Chris.